The Knicks are looking for a backup point guard. Yes, you're thinking, wait, they have Deuce McBride and they like their team, and I agree, they do. But the whole thing with this squad right now is, and I like Deuce McBride, he's great. The problem is they probably want someone who isn't as green behind the ears to be the backup, and they maybe want like a guy like a Tyus Jones out there behind, for a 1-year rental to help mentor Deuce for next year. And also, if they really do believe that this is the year, they want a guy to be able to run the second unit behind Jalen Brunson. So let's get right into today's video and talk about who they could potentially go out and get. Let me know your thoughts down below. I really think Tyus Jones, Monte Morris are the two guys that they should be going out. DeLon Wright's another. Those are the three guys that I would go after. So what we're specifically hearing from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, that the New York Knicks are looking to upgrade its point guard depth behind Jalen Brunson. There are questions surrounding the potential fit between Jalen Brunson and DeJounte Murray. Plus, DeJounte Murray is represented by Clutch Sports, while everybody basically on the roster is a CAA represented client, which is Leon Rose's former agency. And sources say that the Hawks value Quinn Grimes a lot, and we know that because they wanted him during the Cam Reddish talks. But the Knicks are evaluating their center position. So the rest of the video will be talking about the other trade news we know about the Knicks. So the New York Knicks are showing interest in Daniel Gafford per Jake L. Fisher. There are guys on the market right now like Daniel Gafford, with Mitchell Robinson being injured, who's definitely a dialogue. And if you're the Knicks, you know that this is a cheap deal. That Daniel Gafford, he's a starting center, but he would be probably the best backup center in the NBA if they were to make him a backup. He's just like an average, maybe an above average starting center. He makes 12.4, which is a little hard to swallow. But the idea is that they do have that deal of Evan Fournier under roster. So and Evan Fournier, the thing is they probably want to get another player that they can. Evan Fournier can be under contract for another year, but they definitely want to have be able to continue to have flexible salary. So a deal of Evan Fournier for maybe DeLon Wright and Daniel Gafford, I wouldn't be surprised if, or like or another deal, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Gafford and maybe a Danilo Gallinari for Evan Fournier. And if they throw in just like Malachi Flynn as a salary filler or something like that, would help. Because then if Mitchell Robinson does not come back by the end of the season, or if he does and he's bad, you now have this cool rotation of Isaiah Hartenstein, Jericho Sims, and Daniel Gafford, or Daniel Gafford and Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein. And the thing is with Daniel Gafford this season, he's a guy who's averaging in 26 minutes, 10.5 points, 7.7 rebounds, and just under 2 assists. Last year, he averaged 9 points, back-to-back years in 22 to 23 and 21 to 22. He averaged 9 points, playing 20 minutes a night, and 6 rebounds and a block a game. He's averaging 2 blocks a game this year. He's a career 70% field goal shooter. And what you're getting with Daniel Gafford is a high-energy, athletic big man who's a great rebounder and shot blocker, super efficient shooter. He's only going to shoot 5 feet within the basket, pick and roll big, who's great at finishing above the rim. Besides dunks, like Mitchell Robinson, not much of a scorer. He's not comfortable dribbling or shooting the basketball, and the ball can get stuck in his hand when he catches it. But I think he'd be a good guy for them. It's very similar to Mitchell Robinson. So the New York Knicks continue to want to make moves. They just traded for OG Anunoby, giving up RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly in a second-round pick. As members of the New York office believe they have enough assets to trade for a significant player even after acquiring OG Anunoby, according to Ian Begley of SNY. The Knicks currently have up to 8 tradable first-round picks, including 4 of their own. The team also has several tradable eligible players, including Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and his $18 million contract. Josh Hart and Miles McBride cannot be traded prior to the 2024 deadline due to the fact that they signed extensions. Now, we're also hearing that the Knicks will always have interest in Karl-Anthony Towns. The New York Knicks allegedly have interest in him forever because he is a CAA client, which Leon Rose used to be the president of that agency, and now his son runs that agency, and the Knicks have several CAA players under contract on their roster. The quote from Shams Charania on Run It Back by FanDuel TV is, quote, "The Knicks have all the flexibility. They maintain all their assets. They have 8 first-round picks to trade. I expect them to prioritize playmaking. They're always going to have interest in Karl-Anthony Towns. Nothing has materialized as of yet.
They have the pieces, they have the contracts, they have the young players, guys like Quinn Grimes that you can potentially throw into a trade, end quote, said Shams Charania. It was reported earlier this year that the Knicks were monitoring Karl-Anthony Towns' situation. We know that Karl-Anthony Towns won't be traded this season, and the only way he'd be traded this season if the Timberwolves lose in the first round and everything goes awry. Now, there has not been an offer made for Karl-Anthony Towns, but the Knicks do believe that they have enough assets to bring in another significant player. I've said this before. I do not believe there is a significant player out there. There's Pascal Siakam, which obviously they just did a deal with the Raptors. They're not going to do another one. DeMar DeRozan, don't really think he moves the needle. Plus, he would clog up the lane. There wouldn't be enough spacing. Zach LaVine, I don't know if he's enough. I don't think he's a ceiling raiser. There's also Jeremy Grant, who, if anything, he's the best fit, but he would make them too wing deep, and I think he just raises their floor, not their ceiling. And besides that, I don't think there's another player that's going to become available for them in the immediate future. That becomes where it becomes incredibly difficult to imagine that they're going to be able to make a move in my mind. Now, I'd like to be proven wrong, but I think as long as this is the situation, I think that's what we're going to hear. So I want to hear your guys' opinions down below in the comment section. What do you guys expect from this? And are you guys in the same boat as me that I think the Knicks are just going to have to wait? Because if you force anything, it could, backfire. But at the same time, Evan Fournier's contract is going to expire, and they're not expected to go all out for Donovan Mitchell, and because they don't want to handicap themselves. So for me, I think it does become a bit interesting to see how this is all going to play out. So let me hear your thoughts. Yo, what's going on, guys? And supposedly Shams Charania on FanDuel TV said that the Knicks are in the market for a star player, but I don't think they need DeMar DeRozan. They haven't, or Zach LaVine. I don't think those guys are improving yet. I do agree with I'm a Timberwolves fan, and I agree with Karl-Anthony Towns being someone that they should be interested in. But as a T-Wolves fan, I don't think we're trading him unless we're a first-round exit. Now, what we heard is New York Knicks are keeping an eye on the trade market should a star player become available, according to Shams Charania at FanDuel TV. Quote, they're monitoring the marketplace. They want to see if there's a star player available that they would go all in for. They have 8 first-round picks. They've kept a lot of their assets. They have a ton of tradable contracts as well. They've got a couple of young players. They have guys like Emmanuel Quickley, Quinn Grimes. They got pieces. If they want to make an aggressive bid for a superstar, I think they have what it takes, end quote, said Charania. Ian Bagley of Sports New York said that the team has not engaged in discussions or advanced talks for either Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. Grimes recently discussed his lack of shooting rhythm after shooting 35.9% from the field so far this year. And it's interesting to see in terms of trade value or trying to figure out guys that are tradable. As of right now, I really don't know what star is available unless Zion Williamson or Karl-Anthony Towns or somebody demanded a trade. We don't really know who's going to be available because I don't think DeMar or Zach LaVine moves the needle. Does Pascal Siakam, who, he's not shooting great, but he's a guy who's an all-NBA player, and the Raptors could look to avoid the scenario that he might just leave them and instead of having to sign and trade him or lose him for nothing like they did Fred VanVleet. Now, I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is moving, and I don't think Bojan Bogdanovic moves the needle either. So it starts to get interesting when you start looking around, who are going to be the guys that move the needle for this team that could be available, and it becomes difficult as Zach LaVine, his foot, he's out for several weeks with that foot injury, and his trade value isn't as high as it used to be, while DeMar DeRozan continues to hold up, as a great player, but I don't think either of them put you over the edge. OG Anunoby's a guy who looks like an all-defensive honor again this year, and he's potentially, one of the best two-way players in the league, elite defense, and they could bring him back and get his, bird rights in free agency by trading for him. Now, I don't think Klay Thompson or Andrew Wiggins or Chris Paul is going to be available, nor do I think those guys take you to the next level. Same thing with Jalen Green. I don't think that's a guy who takes it to the next level. So who is really, or Jeremy Grant, he's on that big old deal. And is that going to be, enough to put you over the edge? I don't think it is. So that's where I want to hear you guys. Is there somebody that the Knicks should go after, or do you guys is just for gaze for next offseason? Yo, what's going on, guys? And supposedly, Karl-Anthony Towns and the Knicks are supposedly something. Not saying that Karl-Anthony Towns is interested, but the Knicks are interested in him. And I've made a video about this in the past. But Karl-Anthony Towns, if he had continued to play how he was at the beginning of the season, maybe this would be a different discussion. But over the last couple of games, Karl-Anthony Towns is that guy. All right, on the season, 21 points a game, 46.5% from the field, 33.8% from three. Who cares? 9 rebounds, almost 10, okay? 2.5 assists, a steal a night, just under a block. And I mean, the blocks have always been going down for years now. But Karl-Anthony Towns, yeah, he started off the season a little bit cold. But man, oh man, you want to know? This kid, all right? This kid, basically what I would say for this month of November, 23 points a night, 9 rebounds, all right? Dishing out 2 assists, shooting 37% from 3 on 6 attempts. Like, he's back, baby. But would I take stuff from the Knicks? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about what I would want from the Knicks. If we're going to do this whole Karl-Anthony Towns BS, let's talk about what I would want if I'm, as you guys know, I'm a Timberwolves fan. I wouldn't mind if you give me picks. First off, I want 2 first-round picks to start the conversation. If I need to recup the draft cupboard. It's $36 million you guys got to send us. RJ Barrett's going to be what the deal's going to be based around, ladies and gentlemen. I want RJ Barrett, all right? It's 26, and I'd be willing. I know you guys aren't going to give me Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, but I want RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Quentin Grimes. And then you can throw me, who else would I want? Because if you just do that, that gets you to about 30 million, and it's 36 million. So this is what I'll do. You throw me Isaiah Hartenstein, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, and 2 first-round picks. I'll send you Karl-Anthony Towns, all right? And you can also have Wendell Moore. There you go. Wendell Moore and Karl-Anthony Towns for Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, and Mr. Yes, Isaiah Hartenstein. Because I want a big back. And let's just throw this in the trade machine real quick. Because I want a big back in this whole thing so I don't get screwed. Because it's going to be Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert. But I want, off the bench. I need some guys off the bench. I feel like that's actually good. 2 first-round picks. One of them can be a pick swap, but I want at least one unprotected pick. But I feel like 2 picks straight up. Send me your 29 first-round pick and your 27. All right, and then we'll take off your hands RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, and Isaiah Hartenstein, and we'll send back Karl-Anthony Towns. All right. And we'll put on there Wendell Moore. And if they're really, really complaining, here, we'll send you McLaughlin. And that deal works out. Supposedly the winners of this deal are the T-Wolves, but in my mind, I think everybody wins, even Mr. Karl-Anthony Towns. Because look at this. I don't think it's that terrible of a deal. I know some people are going to be like, that's god awful. Why would anyone do that? I mean, as a Timberwolves fan, I'm kind of actually liking this. We get ourselves, look at this. We get ourselves 2 first-round picks back. We first off get the cupboard to be a bit filled. We get 2 first-round picks back. We get ourselves Grimes and Quickley. Quickley needs to go into free agency. We got Isaiah Hartenstein as a backup big, and we get RJ Barrett. Now we have a starting lineup of probably Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, RJ Barrett, and Anthony Edwards, and Mike Conley. Off the bench, Quickley, Grimes. Right? Like, with Kyle Anderson, Shake Milton, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Troy Brown Jr. Dude, Jaden McDaniels would still be starting. Fuck. Okay, Naz Reid's still 6-man. Jaden would still be starting. God dang, that's a good team, ladies and gentlemen. You can't tell me otherwise. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this? And the Knicks, they have now Karl-Anthony Towns. Okay, they now have Karl-Anthony Towns and Wendell Moore and Jordan McLaughlin as young guys that kind of fit Tom Thibodeau's, but they have Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, I know someone's gonna be like, well, Mitchell Robinson's on this team. They'll figure it out, dude. Throw Julius Randle at small forward. This definitely would have to be a 3-team trade. But let me hear you guys' thoughts. That's it. Goodbye. That'd be great. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. Maybe that's the front court. Julius Randle, it's small forward.